Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Bears, Tea and Tarot with me, Graham J, the mystical bear, and my lovely muggle friend, Richard G. Jones. Hello, my darling, and how are you? Good to see you again.
I'm good. How are you, love?
Yeah, sure, grand, pulling the devil by the tail, as we say over here. I'm good, yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. It's one of our special guest episodes.
It is indeed.
Again, as always, you've told me nothing, so hopefully I'm not going to mess this one up, or as RuPaul would say, don't fuck it up. So,
No. Well, no,
yes.
I mean, you don't need. I mean, you'll be. You're brilliant.
I know.
But I think it's good to just say that I don't tell you anything.
No.
In this instance, I do know this person very, very well, although I don't know their last few years or what they're talking about their future. You know, I think there's things change in this person's life that I'm not really aware of. So I'm going to be intrigued to see what's going on for them as well.
Okay.
I live in New York. They live on the West Coast.
Hence the different time today. Yes.
Yeah, so we were a little bit later recording to take care of their schedule. They're just north of San Diego, I think. They'll tell me if I got that wrong.
Okay.
And so we don't get a chance to meet in person, although, and I'm going to bring him on in a minute, we'll giggle about it. We completely ran into each other by accident in New York a few weeks ago. And it was one of those where I did a double take going, was that Will? You know, when they're out of place, so your brain doesn't compute. And I was like, I think, oh my God, it was. So I ran after them, nearly tripped them up. God love them. One of those where I trod on the back of their heel and he kind of swung around and was probably going to hit me as thinking he was being assaulted, but thankfully it was me.
Well, I'm going to have to
so that was lovely.
To somebody for doing something like that now too, because I was in the pharmacy yesterday collecting a prescription and I did a double take. This woman was standing in front of me and she was like, hey, how are you? And I'm looking at her going, I have no idea who the hell you are. And then it dawned on me, I see this woman like 5 times a week in the morning, but she was out of place. It's a lovely blessing from my gym. Please forgive me, please forgive me. And don't bar me because I need to keep going. So, yes.
Well, it was funny how I knew that I'd spoken to Wil Fisher, who's coming on as the guest, about coming on the show, and then I kind of dropped the ball and was like, oh no, I've got the dates to sort out. So I feel like it was like a kick up the ass to make it work. So it you know how spirit can be.
A smile from the universe.
Indeed.
Yes.
Well, shall we bring Will onto the show?
We will. Hello.
Hold on, let me do my bit. Hold on, it's not here. Here we go. Here is the lovely Wil.
Here I am. Hello.
Hey, Will.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, great to meet you too. And yes, that was so fun running into you on the streets of New York. I was only there for like 3 days. And yeah, I was on my way to Julius to meet a bunch of friends. And suddenly this familiar voice appears and there you were. And yeah, we had really not seen each other much since our days at Eastern Mountain. I interviewed you on my podcast, but we hadn't gotten to connect in person, and then boom, that happened. It's so magical when those moments happen, when of all people, you know, that you get connected in these magical moments.
It really is. I mean, such a big city with millions and millions of people coming and going, and our spirit managed to push us into, and I was walking in an odd direction. I was completely taking a route that I didn't know that day to go and see a new doctor. So I was in the wrong place and a different place than I would normally be. And I just, you know, it's weird that I bump into somebody I know that I haven't seen for a long time. And I know we didn't get to spend any time together, but what a lovely moment to just cross paths and give each other a hug.
And it reminded us to be here now.
Yeah, exactly. And making this happen. So so thank you for being here. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. Yeah.
As we've said earlier, Graham doesn't know who you are at all. Didn't know who you were at all until this morning. Until
literally just now. Exactly, yes.
I've known Wil for, and this is going to be interesting. Will, it'll be 11 years just before, this January, just before New Year. I came to Eastern Mountain 11 years ago, between Christmas and New Year, to volunteer at an LGBTQ retreat center called Eastern Mountain. It's in upstate New York.
I was about to ask what it was.
It's and it's I'm trying to think. I would think how to say it quickly, but I can't. It's a place where people live full time and run it as a queer retreat center. People can rent it for their own weekends of kind of a lot of spiritual groups or religious groups or Will, you'll correct me if I got that wrong. Can
Yeah.
rent and do weekends or weeks full of like work and everything else. So it was, and I was a volunteer there for initially for 3 months, help cook and clean and just do whatever was needed to help out. And then that's where I met Will, who were you the executive director as I got there, as you just become?
I'm trying to think. I was just trying to think of that too. Yeah. So just a little more background on it. So it was founded in response to HIV/AIDS. So John Strasser, the founder, he had been hosting these retreats for men who had lost their loved ones from HIV and AIDS to recover and to connect and to heal and grieve together. And those were getting bigger. And then he found this space in the middle of the woods outside of Albany, like an hour outside of Albany, 180 acres. It used to be a ski resort. And he bought it, and a group of men came together and they created this beautiful spiritual growth and personal development retreat center, and have been welcoming men there for the last 25 years. And so, yeah, I feel like we met kind of right when I was transitioning from, I was being a bit of a consultant, kind of going there for a couple of weeks and then to New York City for a couple of weeks for a couple of years. And helping them develop more as a nonprofit. And then the board invited me to serve as their executive director. And so I stepped into that role. And I think that we had connected, and you were sort of starting to get curious about staying there longer. And I saw this talented, grounded, organized, lovely, generous, sweet man. And I was like, well, I need some support. And so it worked out really lovely for you to step into that role of really being the manager of this place. And we got to work together in partnership and create some really cool things. The anniversary event that we founded, it's still happening. I went back for it this year.
Fantastic.
And there's a lot of beautiful fairy dust and glitter that we left on that mountain. We left our mark.
Definitely did. It was very impactful, because I was there. I ended up being there for a year, and I think the only reason I was there for a year was because you asked me to stay beyond the initial 3 months. I think that was part of your beginning as being executive director, putting a bit of a team together, which was great. Which meant I stayed. Which meant John and my husband and my relationship flourished. And we're still here. I'm still in New York, and so great memories of Eastern, great memories of you. We had a lot of giggles along the way,
of course,
of different things. It was a great year. So so it's lovely. So thank you for being part of today. Really appreciate it, and I'm excited to see what Graham's going to do.
Well, that of course then leads nicely into, because as we know, when I don't know the guest, I do a pre-read. And so I picked some very interesting cards, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a message of empowerment and kind of working through some dark times. So this makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to read out my notes, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm going to switch on my camera so you can see the cards, and I'm going to explain them to everybody.
But I will be here, but I'm just going to come off the screen.
Okay.
We need your... Where are you, Graham? Where are you, Graham? Hold on. This is where my lovely technical skills
it's all right.
take a moment to remember how we make sure. I might remove myself. So you might
yourself from the stage. It's usually you move yourself from the stage, isn't it?
There we go.
There we go. Perfect. Okay. So look, with the 6 cards there perfectly. So, as I said, Will and I really don't know each other. I literally met him like 10 minutes ago when he came into the studio. So, and as always, Richard doesn't tell me anything. So I did a pre-read on you last night just to kind of get an idea what this is all going to be about. So my first card that I drew, so I asked the cards what your core energy were. So this is what I got. I got the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man is an interesting card because it says the center of your energy is, this is someone who learned to surrender, pause, and see life from an entirely new perspective, often through hardship or inner awakening, and they carry the quiet wisdom of someone who's been through a cocoon and emerged changed. Okay, right. So let me do it, and we'll chat then. So your the next question I asked, so what is your message? What are we going to talk about today? And this is beautiful because it's all about new beginnings. And it's actually echoing this again because I don't know if you can see this in the Ace of Cups. We have the lilies down here in the pond. And of course, ponds are stagnant. And lilies then tell us that something truly beautiful can grow out of something dark. So the Ace of Cups tells us it's all about emotional renewal because water is emotion, self-love and heart-centered healing. And you're a guest who open floodgates gently, inviting us into a deeper feeling of connection. So then we have, this is quite lovely, the Eight of Swords. This is for what you're going to tell our listeners what they really need to know. And this, I love this. So we're going to explore how through stuckness, feeling trapped, fear or inner doubt, and how liberation came by changing your thoughts. Okay, so this is a card, wonderful card. Okay, and then we have strength over here, and this card is really interesting because it's what your hidden insight for us is, and so this suggests that we're going to hear a story of quiet courage, of taming inner chaos with grace, and of walking through the fire without losing tenderness. Liking that. So you've a really good energy, which is I'm quite liking. Then over here, and everybody gets freaked out about this because it's death, but death is only the card of transformation. So that's telling me that my job here is to hold space to allow you to talk about some deep issues about how the struggles that you went through have helped shape your life and how you're using them to help shape the lives of others. And I'm kind of fitting in what we've just been talking about. And then the final thing, which I'm totally loving, is the King of Pentacles, which I love when this comes up. So the King of Pentacles is a card of maturity, grounded wisdom, and lasting value. So this is going to tell us that you're going to leave a grounded impact, and you bring wisdom, maturity, and abundance. And you're going to tell us, you're going to help people feel more stable in their own journey and inspiring them to take practical steps towards growth and security. And there's a sense that this interview will have a bit of an impact on a lot of people. So hopefully it will. So how did I do not knowing you from Adam?
Oh, beautifully. Oh my gosh, so beautifully. I mean, it definitely resonates with me. And it also, I have to be honest, it's a little bit of pressure because those cards are so powerful. So now there's this expectation that I'm going to meet them, but I feel like there are plenty of stories and plenty of things that I love to share with people and love to share with people on podcasts and in other formats that are related to these themes. But it is so powerful to hear them laid out like that. Could I see the death card up close? The one
you can indeed, yeah. Now I did put a picture of all of this up on my Instagram page, so you can look at them all there.
Yeah,
so that
beautiful.
People could see.
I love these cards, and it's funny because partly why I wanted to see that one up close is because my boyfriend, he is dressing up for his first time. He's never dressed up for Halloween before or anything really, and he is going to dress as Red Death from Phantom of the Opera. We're both huge Phantom fans. And so it's a very glamorous expression of death, right? It's Phantom. He's in that big red, very bouffant, like gorgeous, big robe and big feather. And I noticed that your death card is also quite glamorous. It's, quite fantastical and beautiful in a way.
Have you ever actually seen the film The Mask of the Red Death with Vincent Price?
No. In fact, I wondered, I was asking Jamie, my boyfriend, I was like, where does this Red Death icon come from? Is it just from Phantom? So yeah, that's interesting.
I just to jump in here, because it's a really powerful image. The image that they use in the Phantom of the Opera musical, that image of death is actually in the color film made, I think it must have been in the 40s or something, of Phantom of the Opera, which was filmed on the same sets as the silent movie of Phantom of the Opera. So there's a bit of that character that's portrayed in the musical is very inspired by that version of death there. So if you wanted any other different inspiration, it's in that movie as well, which is
cool.
It's great to see. So especially in this season.
Well, this is kind of appropriate then, because these are Art Nouveau tarot, so they're French.
Ah, cool.
So they're
Wait, Graham, what was the
that movement?
Graham, what was the Red Death you were going to share about?
Oh,
Oh,
it's a
sorry.
film. It was a film. I think it was either the 50s or the 60s, and it had Vincent Price, and it was a Hammer House of Horror, one of those British ones, and it's called The Mask
Mm.
of the Red Death, and it's about all these Satan worshippers who are stuck
Oh.
in a castle, and death comes to them to kill them all.
Mm.
It's
Wow.
fantastic. It's really, really,
Mm.
really fantastic film. If you can get a copy of
Mm.
it, I'm sure there's one online somewhere, you know,
It's
to
it's
watch.
an Edgar Allan Poe story as well.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
It's based on the story.
cool.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Mm.
So
I share his birthday, Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh,
Edgar Allan Poe and Dolly Parton.
there we go.
great.
All coincidences there. There
So
you
that's
go.
Mhm, mhm.
so January
Synchronicities are
18th,
aligning.
January 19th.
19th? Good.
Yeah.
Wow. Richard. Yeah,
There you
19th.
go. So, yeah.
Right.
So, the Hanged Man. Okay. So,
Mm.
as I said, this is about you having to look at your life in different perspectives.
Mm.
So, and sometimes it can say, where are we? I'll just get my notes out. For this, I'm going to ask you a very straightforward question. So,
Mm.
did you ever feel like you've had to pause or disconnect from the world to find your own truth?
Mm. Yes. 1000% yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll start by saying the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man feels like a very, I don't know tarot, but it
Mhm.
feels like a very queer card. You know,
Yeah.
when I think about queerness, I think about seeing the world through our unique lens, through a lens that is outside of the heteronormative sort of default setting that a lot of people see the world through. And I think that queer folks have this blessing, this gift to be able to see the world in a new way, in a different way. And you know, I'm a champion for that. So my podcast is called Queerly Beloved, where I'm looking at queerness and spirituality in the intersection, and it's all about
Oh.
that. But yeah, and I think that I guess I'll share from my story personally that you know I grew up with this idea that I was straight. You know, it's an assumption that most people make, that you know as their kids, that they're just like everybody else and they're going to grow up and they're going to marry the opposite sex and have little kids, and those little kids are going to marry the opposite sex, and so on and so on. And so that was something that I was very excited about as a kid. I remember like dreaming of the white picket fence and having the family and the perfect wife. And so when I started to realize that that wasn't what was going to happen for me, and started to learn what being gay was, you know, there weren't representations of that for me in the media when I was growing up. I'm 47, so I was born in 78, and so we're talking about the 80s. And so that was devastating and terrifying for me. This idea that I would not be following this heteronormative path, and that I would need to instead create my own path. And what was tricky though is that I found my way to love that and be excited about being gay, and started going down that route. But then it was almost like I fell into a new trap, a new paradigm of homonormativity, you know, where suddenly I was in this gay life, and that didn't feel quite right for me either. And I didn't really feel like that was the life for me. And so it was the moment that I always relate back to, when I was able to see like, oh wait, I get to create what's right for me. I don't need to follow this hetero path. I don't need to follow this gay path. I get to express and explore and manifest in a way that is uniquely aligned with my expression of consciousness, right? And I would say where that was most nurtured and fostered for me happened to be with the radical fairies. So when I was able to step out of kind of the homonormative path and experience radical fairy space, where there was just wild expressions of humanity, that's where I started to open up to the possibility of letting go of both the typical hetero path and the typical gay path, and instead get to create my own.
So this brings us then beautifully to the Ace of Cups, which is, you know, your soulful renewal. So that's where, so fairy camp opened this up for you. So I'm going to be very honest. I don't know very much about about fairy camp. I've heard little bits like
Mhm.
through the ether, but can you explain more like what it did for you as someone who grew up in that heteronormative world, and how it opened your eyes to what was going on? If you could just give us some information about what it is.
Yeah, just a little background about the radical fairies. So Harry Hay and others in the late 70s, they had been advocates for equal rights. And so
Mm-hmm.
like Harry Hay started the Mattachine Society, where they would dress, these gay men and women would dress in very gender normal clothing. The men would wear suits and the women would wear dresses, and they would show the world that, we're just like everybody else. But then Harry Hay had kind of an aha moment where he realized that actually, I don't know if we do want to be fighting for the rights, the equal rights of straight people. We don't necessarily
Mm-hmm.
want to emanate their society. And so the idea was, look at their divorce rates. Look at do we want to be in their militaries? And so the idea was to step outside of that world and to come together in these fairy sanctuaries, which were often in the middle of the woods, and to experiment with new ways of being together, and to explore things that a lot of people will know are familiar with through like Burning Man culture, things like
Mm-hmm.
bartering, things like no one turned away for lack of funds, things like radical self-expression, where folks were able to experiment and explore a new society, right? And the idea was
Mm-hmm.
to experiment and explore and figure that out, and then bring that back into the default world, into the mainstream society. And of course, it wasn't done in a large scale way where society was completely transformed, but it has transformed many individuals, myself included,
Mm-hmm.
where I was able to be in that kind of setting and realize that we're all making this shit up. We're all making this society up based on the agreements that we have been passed down, right, through
Mm-hmm.
programming and the pressure to conform, and
Mm-hmm.
that we don't actually have to follow those agreements, that there's so much freedom on the other side of letting those agreements go and creating our own agreements. And so in Radical Fairy Space, we get to do that. We get to create our own reality.
Well, I think that's beautiful, and that will bring us on to my third card, which is the Eight of Swords. So, this is a card of mental entrapment and self doubt. And I would often say to somebody,
Mm,
if you look at this card, you have the woman here with the red dress. Red is always the root chakra, okay, as we know. So,
mhm,
that's our sense of identity, it's our strength,
mhm,
it's the root of everything. And then the swords,
mhm,
but she's blindfolded. And what this tells us is that if she took a moment to think, right, because swords are always
mhm,
mental energy, she could actually
mhm,
realize that stuff that's holding her back, the little bindings here, are actually quite loose, and she could wriggle out of them, and then she could take the
mm,
blindfold off and walk through the swords. So, my question
mhm,
then for you is, again, if we're saying this radical fairy space, what it opened for you, you personally say, if you would say from your own experience, what would you say to someone who feels trapped by fear of a limiting belief, and like how they feel trapped and they
mm,
have to respond to society and also play a role that they don't necessarily feel comfortable in? Because like, even with the
mm.
modern world, we're both living in 2025, that's still a big thing, you
Of
know.
course.
As we know from
Yeah.
Grinder, everything was discreet. So,
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mentioned this idea of programming, right? And we're
mm-hmm,
programmed from the moment that we're born. We're programmed to believe that boys are a certain way and girls are a certain way, and that this is how we live a good life, and this is what success means, and this is what we are meant to do during our time on this planet. And so that programming runs deep. And that programming is also related to our sense of self-worth, our ideas about how lovable or not lovable we are, and what
mm-hmm,
we might need to do to earn that love. And the
mm-hmm,
truth is that it's all bullshit, right? It's all just
mm-hmm.
these ideas that we've been taught from an unconscious and conscious level. And so I do think it's really interesting, that card, because it is so deep, right? It's been ingrained into us for our whole lives, that it's hard to actually recognize that it is bullshit and that we can break free from it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that the first step is bringing it into the light, recognizing that these things that we've been told aren't necessarily true, and that there is a different way forward, and that we are inherently worthy of love exactly as we are, and that we are these brilliant beings, these shining lights, these beacons of hope and love on this planet, and that it's up to us to start to see that, despite what we have been told, that we have to earn our love, that we have to do something, that we have to create this success from this external effort of doing and achieving, right? And so, yeah, I mean, it's powerful to see that the reality is something else. And so then, the tricky part, though, I'll say, Graham, is that it's one thing to kind of hear that concept, and I'm sure a lot of people listening might be like, yeah, I know, I get that, I can understand that intellectually, but to actually embody it, to actually feel it, to actually be able to take action based on it, that's the deeper work, that's the more challenging work that
Yeah.
I feel like we are being called into.
Yeah. And that then beautifully leads into strength, which is my next card. Strength is an invitation to actually soften ourselves. Because if you look at the lady, she's wearing the beautiful white dress and she's taming
Wow.
the lion. Okay. And it's, again, interesting enough, we had an 8 followed by another 8. 8s are always getting over obstacles. So then if we're talking about this, yeah, we're given all these messages, but how do you do it? But sometimes it's about through being gentleness and being kind to ourselves and being vulnerable. So can I ask you a very personal question? Could you share a time when you've had to choose softness over force? Because I think, particularly in the time that we're living in now, we have to choose sometimes to be authentic, right? We have to be strong in ourselves, but also we have to remember that we're caring, loving human beings, and we can't always be on attack.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. And it really brings me actually to my time with Richard at Easton Mountain, when I stepped into this role as executive director of this retreat center. And I was not a lot, but I was younger than most of the folks who were part of that community. And suddenly I was in this leadership role. And I had done, some leadership roles in the past, but nothing like this, where I was kind of at the helm of the ship. I was kind of the captain. And so it was intimidating for me. And I didn't quite know how to embody power. And I was intimidated by the possibility of being powerful, because my understanding of power was aggressiveness, was this masculine, patriarchy kind of power that didn't feel right to me, that didn't feel resonant to me. And so I was very fortunate, because I was at a retreat center, that I got to experience this fabulous work by a teacher of mine, Joe Weston, who actually appeared in my dream last night. So it's funny that he's coming up right now. But in that workshop,
He is, because he's actually talking to me. Can you see all my hair is standing on edge?
Wow.
So I'm a medium, so when spirit talks to me, everything stands on edge. You can't see it, but my beard is also on edge at the moment.
Wow.
Yes.
That's so cool. Well, he's a powerful man. And his work helps people connect with their power in a way that's authentic to them. And my expression of power was not aggressive. Sometimes I needed to be assertive and to speak truth, but it was never done in an aggressive way. There was never violence associated with it. My power often comes in more grace, in play, even in humor, and in loving kindness. And I didn't understand before that work that was an expression of power. And so I didn't feel like I had access to my power, because, again, it goes back to the programming that I had been programmed to believe that power looked like an old white man banging his fist on a desk. And that wasn't power for me. And so once I was able to realize that there was a softer, gentler, graceful, kind and loving expression of power, then I was able to fully embrace it and use it effectively.
Yes. So I don't know if Richard has told you this, because again, we don't know anything about each other. A lot of my work is about reintroducing the divine feminine into
Mm-hmm.
particularly queer spaces,
Yes.
so that and it is that softness, and it's, as you say,
Yes.
creativity, because it's that creative spark, and it's the balance that's been missing between the two worlds, and spirituality. And we are entering the age, fingers crossed, of the return of the divine feminine. So we're being asked to be playful, we're being asked to be present, and we're being asked to allow our emotions to come to the surface, because we've forgotten our inner locus of evaluation, and that's why there's so much disconnection. And so my work is about bringing that element of spirituality back to create things. So this is a beautiful conversation. I'm just loving this. You're totally singing everything from my hymn sheet. Totally fabulous. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's such divine work. And, it does bring me back also to Easton, where, I had mentioned that it was founded in response to HIV/AIDS. And so it was predominantly cis gay men who were coming to the mountain. And when I arrived there, I had an intention of welcoming more of the queer umbrella into the space. So more trans folks, more lesbians, more non-binary folks, more people of different colors and different socioeconomic backgrounds. And it was met with some embrace, but it was also met, there was old guard who were not into that, right? It was like, oh no, but we're not going to be able to make money doing that. And so it was, in part, for me, that mission was also helping the community embrace the divine feminine and to welcome more of that divine feminine energy into our spiritual space. And it was beautiful. We were able to attract incredible folks that were a wider array of diversity, and allow this spiritual retreat center to serve them as well, and and for them and their energies to impact us in beautiful and unexpected ways. But yeah, the divine feminine is definitely important.
Close to your heart.
To my heart. Yeah, close to my heart. Yeah.
Good. Well, and that, of course, beautifully comes into my next card, death. It's like I almost knew what you were going to say. I might be psychic. Shh, don't tell me. So, death, of course, as I have explained earlier, is the card of transformation. Now, death comes to us all, right? And it's irrespective, right? But it's also allows us to move. Here, there's a little representation of the moon card, which is actually also a representation of the divine feminine, because it's about listening to that, going within to find the strength to move forward and to embrace that darker side. Because after all, we go in to access the divine feminine. That's where we're all afraid of it. Okay, so what I would say to you then, and we have to go on a spiritual journey. So what I'm going to ask, because I think this is very important to this conversation. I mean, you've said it several times about having to let go of certain beliefs and things like this. So I'm going to ask, was there a moment that felt like a true death and rebirth for you in your life?
Wow, that's a powerful question. I mean, I would say that there were several. I've spoken to a couple already. I think when I realized that I wasn't straight and I had to give up that white picket fence idea, and then stepped into the gay space. And then when I realized I wasn't necessarily gay, that I was actually queer, and kind of let go of that identity. And I think, what that just popped up for me too is like being a spiritual queer person as well is something that I've had to come out as, that's not always been readily accepted. And the fairies helped me see that was possible as well. So yeah, I think that it happens every time that I have these awakening or remembering moments where I'm able to see more of who I am. I need to let go of these old parts of me. But what I think is interesting about that card, outside of the transformational aspect of it, which has obviously been a theme of this conversation, but is the actual death piece, like the because it's been a big lesson, a big teacher for me. And I'm some of the more recent work that I'm doing, I've done quite a lot of plant medicine work. But more recently, I'm doing some work with MDMA assisted therapy, where I'm training to offer that to clients. And I'm also in the process of training, I'm receiving it myself. And so in my most recent journey, which was only a week and a half ago or so, leading up to that journey, there was this understanding that I would be looking at death, that it was popping up in dreams. It was just like coming into my consciousness. And so at one point in the journey, it felt like the time was right for us to explore death. And we actually used theatrical expressions to explore the experience of death, where I mean, just to give you some fun, juicy details, like I received an apple, and we didn't plan this. It was basically improvised while I'm deep in the medicine, where my facilitator offered me an apple. I took a bite of it, and then he revealed that it was poisoned. And then I died, and he came, and he had this giant, big, huge, heavy black pillow, and he used it, and there was consent in advance. We had planned to use the pillow in some way. We didn't know how or where or when or why, but now that there was that consent, he brought it, and it represented death, and he's coming on top of me with this huge, heavy black pillow, and I'm fighting death. And it's, you know, when I'm deep in the medicine, it feels real. It feels like I am dying. And so I'm screaming and sobbing and yelling that I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And then eventually I give in and I release, and I allow this giant death pillow to take me over. And in that moment, I was able to go from this deep fear and, terror into peace. And from that moment, I was able to feel as if I was like part of the earth, and then feel as if I was spirit. And then and in those beautiful, profound moments moving through this exploration, I finally was landed in this space where I was just kind of like floating. And then in my imagination, in my third eye, I saw this beautiful rainbow parrot. And it felt like this call to be reborn as a rainbow parrot. And so, you know, I said to the facilitator who was lying on the pillow holding me in the death's embrace, that I'm ready to live again. And so then, the pillow gets removed, and I get to be alive, and it feels like, holy shit, I'm alive. Like this realization, I'm alive, and we're opening the windows, and I'm screaming into the window, I'm alive. And then, part of the work we do involves drag therapy, like using costumes.
Oh, lovely.
So I went into the space where the drag was and saw all these beautiful rainbow tutus. So now I'm adorning myself with tutus and flying through the space as this rainbow parrot. And it was, for me, it was this opportunity to confront death, confront my fear of death, and to explore it in a deep way that allows me to have a different relationship with death, that allows death to, instead of being this terrorful, terror driving, fearful thing, to represent to represent peace, to represent a new beginning, to represent a reminder that I am alive now, and that this precious life is happening now, and it's up to me to remember that and to live this fucking life in the most glorious way that I can. And so, yeah, it's fabulous that death has been called, because it's a teacher that I'm working with right now.
Well, actually, there's no such thing as coincidence, because I had my spiritual group last week. I have a spiritual community, and we actually discussed the power of the apple. And yesterday, I was working with a friend of mine who's going through cancer treatment, and we ended up having a full-blown conversation about psychedelic therapy.
Oh wow!
So there's no such thing as coincidence, is there?
No, that's wild.
So I'm sitting here thinking, now Ireland is a little bit conservative, to say the least, and so we're still there's a little bit of exploration here, but not much.
Sure.
So I mean, it's something I'd love to learn more about myself. I'll be very
Sure.
honest.
Sure.
But we were talking about it because this particular friend, as I said, he really wants to try ayahuasca, and I said, well,
Mhm.
I don't know very much about it, but I said like only what people have told me. But
Mhm.
I do know that like cultures for thousands of years have had this, and in my own country, we've had
Mhm.
the Celtic shamans who would have used the Druids would have used
Mhm.
mushrooms and things like that. So,
Mhm.
you know, there's a reason these things are coming back into our world because they're helping us
Yes.
to connect to ourselves. And so this is just a
Yes,
really this
absolutely.
is such a powerful conversation because medicine is now not what it was because it's
Mhm.
artificial, where
Mhm.
this was given to us by, of course, the divine feminine. It's natural in the
Mhm.
world. Mother
Mhm.
Earth wants to heal her children, and so I think
Mhm.
plant medicine is such a beautiful thing. And you know, there is the debate, of course, in mental health professionals that if we legalize certain things, then what will happen when the pharmaceutical companies take them over? And
Mhm.
so there's a whole debate that's beyond our heads, obviously,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
I'm fascinated by this, and I think, as I said, it's
Mhm.
it's a conversation that's going to be coming up more and more. And so, thank you for being so honest, because
Oh, absolutely.
you know,
Yeah,
I has no experience, but I'm fascinated.
it's been a huge, huge, huge part of my healing and
Mm,
transformation. And ayahuasca in particular,
mm,
we often refer to her as grandmother. Grandmother
mm,
ayahuasca has
mm,
just completely shifted my life in such huge and beautiful ways. And I
mm,
owe so much of the blessings that I'm present with today uh, to this beautiful medicine and the way that it's shifted my life.
mm.
So yeah, that is powerful, and I'm excited for your friend to explore. And yeah, there's definitely opportunities I don't know about in Ireland, but there's
No.
definitely opportunities for them to receive it, and it is a calling. I mean, for me, I
Mm,
remember I remember hearing the word and knowing like, maybe that's for me someday. And then it
mm,
kind of kept coming into my field and into my
mm,
field. And then finally, the moment happened where the invitation was so strong and clear, and I got the
mm,
opportunity to sit. But it comes when the time is right, And for folks hearing this, if there is an inkling, just be open to that possibility. Don't It's nothing to calculate and to force. It isn't necessarily for everyone, but if it's
mm,
for you to sit with that possibility and to listen to that possibility and see
mm,
if it manifests. It's very
mm,
powerful medicine. Mm.
mm. I'm loving this conversation for me because it's so grounded, and you're so open about your experience. And you've maturity to talk about it, and and it's so
Mm,
well thought out, and I'm really
mm,
enjoying this. So
mm,
that brings me to my final card. No,
mm,
we can add more, don't worry. But
mm,
because I could talk to you all night, I have a feeling. The
mhm,
um the King of Pentacles is a card, of course, is the card of maturity and grounded wisdom and lasting values. So I suppose, because we're talking about your work, and it's so important to our community and what you do to try and integrate
mm,
healing, spirituality, and also to help people become who they're supposed to be.
mm,
I suppose, what do you hope your legacy or long term impact will be for our community, especially in the world that we're living in now, where we're
mm,
now having to fight to take back ground that's been
mm,
lost.
mm. Could you bring that card up to the camera too? I want
I
to see
can
that.
indeed, yes.
Mm. Yeah,
So
beautiful.
the King of
Mhm.
Pentacles is covered in vines. Okay, he also in
Mm,
this particular iteration has lilies and roses,
love
red
that.
roses and the lilies, and that's the representation of balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine in this particular
I love
form.
that.
He has
Mm,
four bulls, and they represent stability, and it's of course Venus, who is also the
mhm,
divine feminine.
mm.
Mhm. And this is about growth and stability, and it's about enjoying the pleasures of life. So this card,
Wow.
when it comes up, is fantastic.
Wow. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love
Mm,
that. Yeah. I mean, just a quick little side note. I was talking about how in that MDMA experience, we also use drag and we explore how costumes can impact our energy and allow us to see ourselves differently. It was something that I did quite a bit of at Easton. We had a drag closet, and these men would go in and put on a frock, and suddenly they were these powerful divine feminine goddesses, and so I expressed how I was a rainbow parrot at one point in my recent journey, but I also went in, and one of the things I was drawn to was the king's robe, and so I put on the king's robe, and I put on the crown, and I was able to feel into my sovereignty, feel into my queendom and my kingdom, and to feel into that power. And what was coming through for me was a reminder of that piece that I shared earlier, that the way I express my power is with grace, is with playfulness. And so I was reminded that I can be in my power, I can be in my sovereignty, I can be in my knowing my worth, knowing my value in this way that is authentic to me, that is aligned with who I am, aligned with my expression of consciousness. And so I, was moving through this space as this playful king or queen, as this graceful king. And so, yeah, it's fun that is coming up. And yeah, to me, the fact that there is that feminine and masculine component to their dress, is definitely how I want to see my expression of power. And so I suppose, in terms of legacy, it's all about helping others see that their truth is so powerful and so worthy and so needed and so deserving of love, that their expression of who they are, which is this powerful light of love, is exactly what they're meant to express during their time on this planet. And that our job, our work, is to, going back to the girl who's held in the swords, our work is to remember who we are, remember that we are these powerful beacons of light and love, and that our work is to deprogram ourselves, to release ourselves from the confines of the programming, of the lies that we're told, that we have to be a certain way in order to be lovable, in order to be successful, and to instead tap into our deepest truths, to tap into our unique expressions of consciousness. And that when we do that, we get to be these radiant kings and queens and manifest the lives that we desire and that we're meant to have. And when we're all doing that, that's when the greatest harmony gets to take place on the planet. And so a lot of my work is helping men do that, and a lot of the work is helping them do that through the heart, right? That instead of being so stuck in our thinking minds, that when we're able to connect with our hearts, our intelligence that's radiating from this beautiful heart chakra, when we're able to tap into that, we're able to get closer to the truth of who we are, and we're able to tap into the courage to express that truth. And so, yeah, I do that through a men's retreat called Awakened Hearts, which I hope to bring to the UK someday. It's a GBTQ men's retreat that's all about helping men connect with their hearts and connect with each other. I do that through, one-on-one retreats, through coaching. But yeah, my work is to help queer men connect with their hearts, remember who they are, step into their power, and to start expressing themselves with greater authenticity, with greater recognition of that beautiful divine truth.
I love that. That's so empowering. Thank you very much. I'm sitting here listening to this, and I'm thinking, I'm hoping that our listeners, because we have some trans listeners who've messaged me several times, and I think it's important for them to hear this message too, because I do feel like they're particularly in my country, I know they're slightly marginalized in our community, and I think it's that you are the best of everything. And I think that's the thing that they should remember. You are the actual embodiment of both things. And I think I love that. So this has been a beautiful conversation. So what I'm going to now do is, because I'm going to do a reading for you because we're here, because obviously we read the cards and what, you know, for to ask you the questions. But what I'm going to do, and we're going to use this as a cledon for our listeners. So a cledon is that if a message comes up for someone and you hear it, it might have a truth for you. So I'm going to do this. So what I'm going to ask you to do, Will, is I'm going to keep shuffling the cards, right? And when this is going to be for you, right? I want you to think of something you want to know. So I'm going to put out cards, and what we're going to do is what you need to know personally for the next 6 months to a year. So what you need to know, what you need to grow, and what you need to let go. So this is the 3 questions, okay? So that's your energy. So what I'm going to do is I want you to watch my hands, and when you're ready, I want you to tell me to stop. Oh, that's interesting. So that fell out.
Perfect.
So that's your mood. That's your mood card. Obviously, so we're leaving that there. Okay. So, but that's your overall theme. But we will do. I want you to tell me to stop, and I'll divide the cards.
And
okay?
stop.
Okay. Now, would you like the top, the middle, or the bottom?
The top.
The top. Okay. So I'll put that down there. That's what you need to know. Now, what you need to grow. So again, same thing. So tell me when, and then top, middle, or bottom.
And stop.
Okay.
Let's go bottom.
Bottom. Okay. Now, and one final time for what you need to let go of.
And stop.
Okay. Top, middle, bottom?
Middle.
Middle. Okay. So I'm going to reveal what they are. Okay. Loving this. Oh, lovely. Interesting. So that's quite interesting because we're topping and tailing with the Knight of Swords and the Chariot. And very interesting considering the conversation that we've had about willpower and learning to be soft. Okay. So, and the balance between the male and the female. Interesting. Okay. So the Knight of Swords, if we're taking this as your overall theme, knights are about charging ahead. Swords is thoughts. Okay. So sometimes you're running at, it's like you're running at a gatepost like a bull. Okay, that's the best way for me to describe this card here. Okay, so that's about taking actions on our thoughts, and sometimes we feel that we're caught up in a whirlwind of things. But this, I feel, is beautiful because what it's asking you to do is to surrender. Because your first card, what you need to know is the sun. Now, the sun is like everything. What does the sun promise? Holidays, happiness, abundance, everything, right? But it also tells us about peace and change is coming because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sunflowers. Sunflowers turn their face into the sun. The sun, again, is yellow, so it's that identity, right? So everything that you're looking for is about to manifest, okay? So we have, the card is 21. Okay, so 21, when you think about it, becomes 3, 2, and 1. And 3 is the number of creativity after we've made decisions. So you're on the path to have everything that you want, and life is about to change to a beautiful thing for you. Everything is about to work out balance, okay? But you need to have the faith and stop trying to push things to happen. Okay, so you need to stop being forceful and listen to the song of your soul, because what you need to grow then is again leading us away from this. We're getting choice and it's emotions, but this is beautiful because we have the Two of Cups, which is about listening to the divine feminine and taming our masculine ego, which is the Fool. Okay, but this is quite interesting because can you see this creature up here? Yeah, it looks like the winged lion.
The winged lion, yeah, beautiful.
But it's actually a chimera because it has, look, the 2 serpent tails coming down.
Oh, wow.
So, but if we look at the winged lion is Saint Michael, of course, the line of Venice.
Oh.
Okay, which is fire and strength. Okay, but we have cups down here. Okay, we have transformation, which is the caduceus, and healing. So this is asking you to grow relationships, to work on that balance between your relationship and in your own personal relationships as well. It's to allow softness in and to allow to nurturing that. But it's also about how you work with other people, and it's about encouraging that through your own exploration of it, if that makes sense. Okay,
beautiful.
And then finally, again, this is lovely. Again, look, we have the balance again. Look, right? We have, of course, the balance between our wild nature and our spirituality, because we have the Sphinx. The Sphinx is half lion, half woman, and that then tells us. And we have also Saint Michael here with his wings. So this is quite interesting. He's following around a lot. Of course, you're being protected in the work that you're doing, and this is your destiny. But you need to trust in this, because sometimes you need to keep remembering that you have to have balance, because all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And again, we have the symbol of the divine yoni and lingam intertwined. Here, that's what that represents. And it's about building lasting legacy. But yes, you don't need to keep striving, because everything will happen through you being playful and being creative and remembering to have fun and listening to that spirit.
Wow.
So you need to let go of the ego-based stuff and listen to the softer side of yourself.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is so good. Thank you so much.
And you also need to trust yourself, because you have all the knowledge and experience within inside you. Now, you sometimes doubt yourself, but actually, you look back on everything, you've actually created quite a powerful body. And you're creating a lot of change, and you need to celebrate that a bit more, because that kind of can lead to darker times. But you need to remember, you are on the path that you're supposed to follow.
Ooh, I receive that. Thank you. Wow.
No worries.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to switch off my camera now to go back to normal, if I'm ever such a thing. So people can see me. Hello, people. There we go. This has been a really fascinating conversation.
Oh my goddess, this was so amazing. Thank you so much. So fantastic. Yeah, you're very talented. What incredible cards. Wow.
Thank you. Wow. How is that for you, Richard? Do you feel like having a cigarette afterwards?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, and I've got an echo.
Your volume's gone a bit odd.
It's echoing a little bit.
That's me. Apologies, folks. It's probably. I know what I gotta do. I'll take myself out and back again.
Yeah, give that a shot.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yep.
That's way better. Yeah, we're back.
There we
go. Yeah.
I mean, it's really fascinating. I think you've probably been one of the most
loquacious guests we've had.
Yeah, and spirit with your own spirituality brought to the podcast. So it's been very interesting to hear you two kind of go back and forth a little bit, and you know, some of the things that I remember we talked about many years ago, and the journey you've taken since then. But it's interesting because, you know, I have my own memories of being at Eastern and memories of you and your leadership. It was very, very interesting. It was very empowering. You know, you were kind of in charge, but you were never kind of, I'm the boss. You were never, I'm the executive director, but you did everything to involve me and others in that place and allowed people to flourish, I think. And that's so I take that, you know, such a great memory, and it's great to see you doing more and keeping going, and no surprise in the things that you're doing and talking about. So yeah, so thank you for that. Thank you for your openness, and I'll definitely
have you back.
Well, yes, indeed. And I was going to say, we'll make sure the two of you are connected now after this.
I know, Graham, I would love to have you on my podcast if you're open to that sometime.
Listen, I'm a media whore. I'm going to anything.
Perfect.
Awesome. Joking.
Well, tell us just give us a plug to your podcast, Will.
Yes.
So it's called Queerly Beloved, and it's this look at queerness and spirituality and how they come together and how they complement each other and how they play together. And so it's a lot of conversations with queer folks who are in the spiritual space. So people like queer tarot readers or queer astrologers or queer, healers of different kinds. But I also have gotten to interview a couple celebrities. I interviewed Gregory Maguire, the author of Wicked, about their relationship with Catholicism and how that impacted Wicked when they were writing it. I interviewed Ali Sheedy, who has a trans son, and what that journey was like for them. And so, it's a fun show. I'm about to finish my third season and step into my fourth, and it's a delight. But it'd be super fun to have you on there.
Well, I don't know if you can see my beard is standing on edge. So there is a message from your friend in the spirit world. So he's telling me that he's very proud of the work that you've done with him, the card of nostalgia. He says that you are building a lasting legacy. And he said that you are going to be the King of Cups, and your job is what you're doing to bring men back to their heart-centered approach to life. He's very, very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. What? Wow. There's a person that he was my roommate in college and best friend of mine. His name is Michael Karma, and I was thinking about him because Archangel Michael was very connected to him.
He's in spirit with us. So this guy, yeah, that's him. He's the King of Wands. So the King of Wands. So if this is the right person, his ability was to bring people together and to get them to use the best of their talents, which is what the King of Wands is. And he was quite fiery and passionate about things. Yes. So he's watching over to you too. He actually is, and he's helping you transform.
It looks like him.
Yes. So there you go. So
Wow.
we have two spirits. There we go.
Wow, I love that.
Wonderful.
Oh my God, I've really enjoyed this. This has been brilliant.
Oh, me too. Me too. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Wil, so much. Graham, do you want to do us a quick kind of little meditation to take us out?
Yes, I think we'll just do a bit of grounding. Okay, so it doesn't. I didn't actually prepare one for today, so I was
Give us
actually
a quick one. You don't
yes,
need.
I'll do. I'll wing it. It's grand. Okay, so we're gonna just close our eyes, and we're gonna take a deep breath in through the nose. We're gonna hold it, and we're gonna slowly release it out through the mouth. We're going to do that 3 times. In, hold, and out. In, hold, and out. And I want you to imagine a beautiful golden ball of white light just about 6 inches above your head. Okay? This light begins to dissolve and start to travel down to your crown chakra. And it starts to travel down through your head, unblocking anything, any trapped energies, restoring the light inside you as it moves down through your neck, clearing your throat chakra. Then down into your shoulders and arms, fingers and hands and fingers. Also traveling down into your chest, unblocking your heart chakra. Feel that lovely warmth spreading as it moves all the way down into your solar plexus chakra, just above your belly button, and moving down lower into your sacral chakra, restoring your creative and sexual energy, and down into your root chakra, your sense of security and belonging, as it then travels down into your legs, all the way down past your knees, your thighs, and then down into your feet, and then travels down as roots from your feet into the earth, traveling all the way down, 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 through the earth, through the rocks, all the way until it reaches the very heart of Mother Earth herself. There it forms roots around her beautiful heart, and she begins to take all your pain away. Feel that just drain out of you. Drain, drain, letting everything go before she begins to send nurturing light all the way back up, all the way back up to those roots, all the way back up to your feet, all the way through your legs, to your root chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus chakra, restoring your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown, until eventually you are perfectly balanced between Father Sky and Mother Earth. And just rest in this beautiful energy for a few more breaths, breathing in, holding, and out, and in, holding, and out, and in, holding, and out. Gently bring your awareness back to your body, feeling refreshed and balanced. And when you're ready, open your eyes, feeling energized and restored.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank
Wonderful,
you.
Graham. Thank you, Will. It's been an absolute pleasure to see you again, and for a little bit longer than last time. And I'm sure we'll keep in touch a bit more. And I'll put the two of you together, and we'll have you back on the show at some point.
Yes,
Yay.
I'd love
Thank you
that.
so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Much love to both of you. Thank you so
And
much.
to you. And to you.
Have a
Thank you, everyone,
beautiful
for
week.
listening. Obviously,
Yes.
email us at info@bearsandtarot.com.
Yes.
Questions.
We need some more questions for the next show. I mean, there's
That's
a load
right.
of them I can go through, but please keep sending them anyway.
Absolutely.
And I'll do my best to get through them. So, yes, we'd love to have more people. Thank you very much. So,
Wonderful.
yeah, thank you.
Take care, all. Enjoy the season. This will go out. This should be going out mid-October. So enjoy Samhain, enjoy Halloween, however you celebrate. Be safe, have fun, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye. Bye-bye.